Welcome to the Only Amazing Race 25 recap podcast that has the seal of approval, the Amazing Race recap podcast in the UR Team Number Facebook group. My name is Michael Harmstone, and I'm joined as ever by everyone's favourite musical guest, Logan Saunders.
Morning.
Good morning, Logan. And of course, our special guest, the one Australian who thinks that Keith and Whitney are 2 in a million, Ben Powell.
Howdy.
Thought we'd go for an S-Club reference this week. If you want to get in contact with us during the next hour, you can post comments on this video if you're watching on YouTube. There's also a Q&A on the Google Plus page, and you can get your opinions in on the Facebook group, which is linked in the video description. Alternatively, tweet us using the hashtag YattonCast, which you can see whenever I or Ben speak. So, we've lost the people's champion, Keith and Whitney.
Reality TV stars of the past 5 years.
At least they were showing some personality this season.
Mm.
And not just disgusting.
Meanwhile, Hayden Moss went across 2 reality shows and showed no personality in both.
Yeah, Hayden Moss was supposed to be them instead.
Wasn't Hayden Moss the guy who was in the last season of Big Brother?
That's Hayden Voss.
Voss.
Yeah, and
right.
All I've been seeing on Reddit this week is pictures of him and Nicole having sexy photo shoots that seem to be getting released every so often. It's weird.
Reddit is weird.
Reddit's awesome.
Wow.
But it's just weird.
Wow, it already just completely derailed off
Yeah.
topic.
We're on to the terrible subject of Reddit, that deep hole of the internet, which I appreciate very much.
Especially our Survivor, who still contain Russell Hantz fans.
Reddit and Big Brother 16, which apparently is relevant to the Amazing Race 25.
Well, Hayden Moss and Kat were supposed to be Keith and Whitney's spot, and then they broke up. So, Hayden Moss, Hayden Voss, we're on to it already. Fact. So, previously, we had Kim and Ali Yay, Jim and Misty boo, Robbie's funny, Misty stumbles, Kim and Ali win, Shelley and Niecy meltdown, and Jim and Misty are saved from elimination, and don't have to hand over their save, which is still quite irritating.
They got their teeth kicked in. Isn't that hilarious?
I did chuckle when they said that last week.
Twinkle.
Yes, the twinkle. There is a much better Jim and Misty screen cap that I've obviously got because it's amazing, and will continue using because it's amazing.
Does it involve lunging?
It doesn't. I can, upon find Bill and Ken lunging if you want, because I know you love it much. Just because you asked, Ben.
So what about those hybrids?
Yeah, those hybrids were not definitely shoehorned in, honestly. I just kind of refuse to talk about that normally because of how much it irritates me when they do the product really bad product placement ones.
I don't mind it. I mean, it's interesting to see what constitutes forward thinking over in America. I mean, I don't even think we have hybrid friendly stuff over here in Australia. So, good on you.
Yeah, that's because they don't have. Well, they're not very good running, and Australia is very far between some petrol stations.
Yeah, true.
Australia is one of those countries where you can.
Or if you use a tenth of a gallon.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do the tenth of a gallon challenge in Australia.
You just gotta drive 5 kilometers an hour and you'd be set.
Yeah, but you'd never get anywhere in Australia, ever.
I once lived near a place that was 128 kilometers from one service station to the next.
Yeah. Well, Australia is one of the few countries where you can go hundreds of miles without seeing a petrol station.
Huh. And I was actually near a capital city, so.
Canada's another one of them.
Yeah, but that's because Canada has like 2 people that can live 65 kilometers apart without anybody between them. That's a bit different.
Yeah, true. Canada's just huge. Ooh.
Oh, damn it, you beat me to the Tony reference.
Oh, I needed this. So when teams open their
So are you ready for the next part of the Making Through Race 3 remix?
Oh, Tony was such a great character. He's still one of my various text tones that I have the option of. Just him going,
Alrighty.
oh! It's a good way to get
Alright.
Facebook. Uh, so teams find out when they open their first clue that they have to fly to Marrakesh, Morocco, and find Jamar El Fanar to find their next clue. Caution, speed bump ahead. And for the first time all season, we have departure times. Yay!
Hmm.
Just for me to be happy for once.
Yeah, we got them for pretty much everyone, right?
We got them
Yeah.
for everyone.
Is that the largest spread of like departure times in ages? Because that was like 7 hours between Kim and Ali and Jim and Misty.
Kim and Ali were 9:48, and then second place was Brooke and Robbie at 12:18, and Jim and Misty were all the way down at 2:29. That's what,
How good was that? How good was that flight?
nearly 5 hours, and they were only an hour ahead when they got to the flight. Can I just point out?
And how bad were Jim and Misty then? Because they were
Yeah.
ahead with Kim and Ali, and they still came like how far after Adam and Bethany were they?
They were
Only
not-
10 minutes ahead of Jim and Misty.
10 minutes, so not long.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, that was
Mm.
an insane performance from Jim and Misty there, in terms of terrible performance. They were only an hour behind the leading flight last week, and they ended up being 5 hours behind overall.
And they
Oh.
still get to keep their save and
That was fun.
are guaranteed to survive at least 2 more rounds.
Yep. See, I put this out there earlier. If it gets to leg 9 and Jim and Misty don't come in last, but a team that they're allied with do, will Jim and Misty give it away? Because they do have the option. We know that from Secret Scenes in first week.
If we hear in leg 8 and 9, suddenly this new rule: if you can't use a save, you can give it to someone who can. So then it becomes the salvage pass,
Yeah.
basically, without the option for a head start.
I would like the American season to use the salvage pass properly. I want to see it happen. Just because it's a brilliant twist. And you usually flying
pretty
out,
cool.
so it's a waste of time getting the hour head start.
I
You
mean,
weren't
it led
greedy
to
about
a
Jim and
season of
Misty when the
Lucy
legs
and
started?
Amelia doing.
What'd you say, Logan? Sorry?
Just that, like Jim and Misty at the start of the leg, they said, "Oh, we're team domination," and this is like 10 hours after they finished dead last by about 5 hours.
I said this to Ben.
Just wanted to punch him in the teeth for that.
I said this to Ben yesterday. Jim and Misty can no longer beat Mark and Rolverson, Dave and Rachel, Natalie and Megan, or Megan and Shane. The best Jim and Misty can do if they win all remaining 7 legs is get an average of 2, which would equal them with Megan and Shane.
Huh.
And every week when they don't get first place, I will be updating you on who they now cannot beat. Because it's hilarious. Until
Like
they stop.
what Logan did with Louis and Michael when he was blogging Amazing Race 16.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have the domination edit, you've got to back it up and not keep saying it.
But have any of the
And
actual
not finish
dominators
last on the
actually
third
said
leg.
how dominant they are?
I seem to remember Dave and Rachel did. Dave and Rachel were slightly gloaty occasionally, I think, but other than that, I don't think so, no.
But they didn't try to craft their whole story around it, did they?
Oh no, they were too busy fighting and arguing and various things.
If I ever
Silence
get
is
around to
golden.
rewatching that season, I think I'll love them again. I don't know. I mean, knowing they win and Brennan and Rachel and Art and JJ don't, that just makes it better for me. So
I do think the casting for season 20 was pretty good. I mean, I was a big Art and JJ fan. I know I have a terribly unpopular opinions generally with this sort of thing, but I was a big Art and JJ fan. But as long as it wasn't Brenchel, I didn't care, really.
I was fine as long as it wasn't Art and JJ or Brenchel, because I mostly wanted Vanessa and Ralph, but I figured past performance meant that wasn't happening. But so I was like, oh, David and Rachel are okay, I guess.
I know this might be a shock given my previous opinions on the podcast, but surprisingly, I didn't want Bopper and Mark to win either.
Hmm.
I ain't got no fans.
But I ain't got no clothes. That is getting more and more character
Taste.
fury every time I do it.
Tastes like super fan tears.
Like baby more super. do, you, do you notice who got the first major confessional of the episode? It was Whitney saying she wanted a honeymoon.
Her second honeymoon?
Oh!
At least this one is a secret, I guess.
Maybe they'll go to Samoa. They have such good memories there.
And we are being very mean about Whitney again. Yes! Back to
I
our
wasn't
plan.
mean. That's what I meant about, you know, the memories of getting taken out of the game by Cochrane
Who disgusts her.
and
You
me. So that's a different point.
disgust me.
She was speaking for most of the fan base at the moment. So at that moment, so
Massive Cochrane fan again. That's unpopular
well,
opinions.
we all have our, you know, questionable opinions.
Yeah, like not liking Cochrane because he's hilarious.
Hmm. He got beaten by a guy. He got beaten in a fan vote by a guy who got voted out 3 times.
Yeah, but to be fair, they were massively shoving his edit down our throats.
And he still lost against a guy who got voted out 3 times.
No, I mean Aussie.
Welcome to the Survivor South Pacific podcast.
Yeah, you do realize we've done 3 of my bullet points so far. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing about Sean
Anyway,
Macy at this
we had
time.
no. You go.
Leg was having some disagreement in the last leg. They said they had some disagreement. I would say threatening to quit and quit away from Phil at the mat is a bit more than just some disagreement, I would say.
Yeah, also, something tells me that will not be the last we see of them fighting. I suspect if they ever get eliminated, they will probably get eliminated having fought with each other again.
It's possible.
I certainly don't think
You
they would have really shown it much unless it was going to come into play.
That's true. But then again, Dennis and Isabel, they fought all the time apparently. So
Yeah, true. So, why did Jim admit that they still had the save?
Do you think Jim and Misty should have lied about using the save?
Exactly what I just said.
Damn it, I got
they
lag.
but then what about
Yeah.
what happens with the speed bump?
Well, the thing is, the save's been introduced this season, so no one necessarily knows if there would have been a speed bump having used the save or not. So
They could. I'm assuming there was obviously probably more rules, you know, explained at the start of the race regarding the save than what was shown on television
because
about its use.
they were probably told that it just became a non-elimination leg, which currently under non-elimination leg rules, non-elimination legs calls a speed bump. So, you know, it's not out of the question for them to have lied and got away with it. I would have lied. Because otherwise it's stupid.
Yeah, I would have said, now I'm one of you guys. I am mortal. I am like, you know, it's like the end of The Mummy now, where Arnold Vosloo can actually be killed. Spoiler alert for a movie that was 20 years ago. But
That's a terrible
now
ride at Universal.
Having now they're like demigod or some other supernatural creature that cannot be killed.
Well,
like a giant scorpion.
They were so unbelievably lucky not to get U-turned. Because if they had got U-turned, it would have been entirely their own fault.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
I'm glad that everyone else's reactions basically mirrored, you know, the online fan base. It was just like a lots of nobody really wanting to look at them. Everyone just sort of like silently seething at them.
Crickets.
Yeah, it's just so unbelievably stupid.
It's like they knew there would be crickets.
Because one very, very good reason to U-turn someone is if they have got an express pass or a save. if they've got an advantage, you want to bring them down to your level.
Isn't that what? That's why Natalie and Megan used those in Canada, right? But it wasn't shown.
Exactly. The entire U-turn wasn't shown, but because both sides were wasted. But yeah, that is exactly why they did it, because they wanted to get to the U-turn board first to make sure they were not U-turned. Which, is a legitimate tactic. It's a little bit irritating, but it is a legitimate tactic.
I don't Bethany still have an express pass, don't they?
They do, and that has to be used in the next 4 legs, I think. Oh, it might be the next 3, actually. I think it's the end of leg 8.
Do you reckon they'll actually need it though? Because there have been a lot of tasks so far that do require someone, basically needing both arms, and she's, I'm not as big of a fan of her as I am a few other people in the race, but that deserves big props.
Props. And we're back to talking about Big Brother again. Yes. Neo could get you. But yeah, she does deserve massive props for doing, for basically doing.
That was a 2-arm, Yeah, that was a 2-arm job. She did better, faster than people who actually had 2 arms. So,
having said that, one of the tasks this week she did have a massive advantage on.
Guess so.
Yeah, I mean the T task. If you have to use one arm, she's already used to it, and that's not being offensive. She actually is.
The way she said the kneel.
Yeah, she is better than everyone else at it because she's more acclimatized to it.
Although imagine if Adam, for some reason, insisted he held the tray.
Yeah, he would have been an idiot then. Also, I like the fact that when they got to Morocco, they showed Nisi speaking Spanish. That is not going to be very useful. Morocco's official languages, and I googled this last night, are Arabic and French, as I thought.
Yeah, but Spanish is even if people don't, there's a bigger chance people are going to speak Spanish than there are going to speak English, especially in that part of the world.
I'm not sure, actually.
Especially because it's straight across from Spain.
Yeah, straight across from Spain, and it's more popular than English.
I think English is actually probably more likely to be spoken in North Africa, given the fact that we used to own a lot of Africa. But yeah, I mean, I can sort of understand why Spanish would be spoken, given the ferries across and the fact that we thought Morocco probably might have been in last season when they said 9 legs or 9 countries, but it's not as.
And then it sucked.
Yes, it did. So when they got to the square finally, they found out it was an active route info, and I love the fact we're getting Canadian-style active route infos all the time now.
Yay!
It's actually a nice change.
And what was this active route info?
It was to roll out a restaurant cart and help set it up, unless you were Jim and Misty. In which case, you had our speed bump, which is to find the carpet shop, pick up 8 carpets, and then hang them up for sale using a hook on the wall of a hotel.
I would have liked to see Bethany do that.
According to Jimmy, only men can do so.
Yeah, yes, and Bethany having to do that. Adam would have just done it all, wouldn't he? Let's be honest.
Babe, where do you want me to put this?
Do you want me to use the hook?
Jim was such a douche about that. I was kind of, it's like, there's a certain line that I go if you're being if you're actually like a sexist misogynist douche. There's a certain line if you don't cross it, you're sort of just like in my hate area. But if you go so far beyond the line that it's sort of like, what the hell are you? It's sort of like Jim went past that. I was like, what? Oh my god, what a douchebag.
Yeah, but as speed bumps go, this was one of the more difficult ones, given they actually had a modicum of skill.
Misty insisted on carrying all 2 pieces of carpet.
Yeah, Jim had 6. It certainly wasn't untying a knot, or making pho, or sniffing tea and then having to deliver the right one to a guru in the garden.
Or sitting on a chair of ice.
Or sitting on a chair of ice, yes. Or drinking a shot of absinthe.
Yeah, that seemed like one of the tougher speed bumps. I mean,
Yeah.
still pretty easy, but I mean, it was one of the tougher ones. And then you have Phil there as if an on-field reporter, like a freaking sports announcer. He's like Aaron Andrews or something like that, saying, "Jim and Misty are now 12 minutes, at least 12 minutes behind the other teams. Back to you, CBS."
And
Like, what was up with that?
Yeah, predictably, I've screen capped it. Yes. Yes. Phil being a massive, massive dick.
Did he steal Russell Hantz's hat?
Almost.
No, Sandra put that in the fire. She didn't care. I mean, she probably should have put his sneakers too, but yeah.
That's such a great scene, actually. Sandra just going, "I don't care."
Yeah. And that should give no question as to why she's my favorite survivor ever. So yeah.
Yeah, the whole best thing about that is the fact that up until season 19 there was a rule about not touching other people's property. As soon as Russell started doing it, then it became fair game, and then Sandra used the rule against him.
And then the rice happened.
Because she can get loud too. What the F? The active route info was pretty lethal as well. Those carts were steamrolling a lot of people.
Yeah, look at all those cobras that were thrown about.
Yeah.
Probably imagine if
Or
Mark
if you're
Weaver
Brooke,
had
you
done this
confuse
season.
animals with a flag.
I think it's fair to say Brooke and Robbie are our Suki and Jinder this season.
Yeah, let's go with that. I'm good with that.
They are so lovably dopey.
Although I think Brooke and Robbie would beat Suki and Jinder in a fight. Just by a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Although, never mind. I'll refrain from making a joke related to the life portrait task.
No, do it. It's fair game. They've retweeted a lot of my jokes about it.
Did they ever explain that to Mum and Dad?
I'm not sure. But they do seem to have a very good sense of humour about that task, actually. They knew what was coming. Being Amazing Race superfans, and, just went with it.
Oh, on the subject of Brooke and Robbie, do you remember when they were in the cab heading towards the airport and they were talking about, yeah, we're going to have some maracas, and then she's like, that whole instrument thing. Like, for one, the name they're thinking of is maracas, and two, they were imitating a tambourine.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
we're gonna play some maracas.
I'm like, what?
I love Brooke and Robbie. Not as much as I love Suki and Jinder because they're amazing, but I just love laughing at Brooke and Robbie.
They're probably my
Not only
second
do
favorite
they
team
have
this season
zero
behind Shani and
geographical
Misty.
knowledge, but also zero instrument knowledge.
Yeah, the best thing about this is, what happens if they win? If the one team with no geographical knowledge whatsoever ends up actually pulling it out? That'd be hilarious. Although there is a massive winners edit that I know Ben wants to get to.
Oh, right there. I gotta find that somewhere. I put it somewhere and I forgot where it is.
Yeah, I noticed it as well. Also, was the lady who was watching Adam and Bethany do their cart and just not helping them at all, was she from Reality Fan Forum? Because she was just taking pictures.
I didn't notice this lady.
Going, la, 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 la.
I didn't notice it, so yeah.
Yeah, she was just taking pictures of them. It's hilarious.
I like how the teams had zero issue with just scraping the cart and all the equipment just along the ground there. Must just be an awful sound to always hear, just scraping of the carts along the concrete pavement there in the marketplace.
Yeah, also, teams standing on the very rickety tables trying to put the cart together. That is the health and safety nightmare.
Or Keith nearly breaking his ankle by tripping over that carpet.
Yeah. It was a bit of an unfortunate one for health and safety, wasn't it?
Especially,
Yeah,
just
even for
the
his
fact they were
Achilles.
working with those people who were working on the stalls, they were just like running them over with a cart, making them stand on awful benches to put this things together, exposing them to food that I don't think no human should be touching.
Yeah, it was
That's
hilarious.
just a classic case of sheep's head. Can go wrong.
The better thing to do would have been to make them eat whatever their cart brought out. Because Tim and TJ would have got the goat's head then, and it would have been hilarious.
And that didn't Kim and Ali,
Yeah,
were they the ones
goat's
who got the
head versus
vegetarian?
Tim and Ali cilantro.
Yeah, it would have been a rehash of one of my favourite fast forwards ever. The eat the soup made of sheep's arse. Or the fat from a sheep's arse, sorry. Because that I remember that trailer very well because it was hilarious to see Terrence and Sarah try and attempt it. And them going, but we've been vegetarian forever. No! I'm human! So Keith and Whitney left in first, Kim and Ali in second, Brooke and Robbie in third, Shelley and Nisi in fourth, Amy and Maya fifth, Adam and Bethany in sixth, Tim and TJ in seventh, and Jim and Misty, surprise, surprise, in eighth.
Wah wah.
I guess Whitney picked up a new boyfriend.
And and teams must now head to the Babda Tannery to find their next clue.
Isn't it just so fun how like even CBS, even though they've got a lot of issues with the casting of certain people and editing of certain people, particularly minority people, they have such a sense of humor about them sometimes. Like all the Keith and Whitney references throughout the season, all the Cheatney references throughout the season.
Yeah. I mean,
My favorite part about Whitney in that little segment there is that she asks the cart guy, "Oh, tell me what to do," but then the cart guy doesn't even speak English, and she responds to her in like French or Arabic, and then she gets all mad because the guy didn't respond in the language that she wanted him to. For some reason,
She only
I found
speaks
that
the language of
amusing.
love.
Yes.
I mean, I know we've been trying to avoid the low-hanging fruit of Cheatney references all season, but it has been hilarious. They're just doing a knowing wink every so often.
And then, of course, they blast the finishing point music all throughout the episode as well.
Yeah.
They can't get away from that whenever they go to an Arabic country for some reason anymore.
Well, the best thing is that they basically looked at what they did in Morocco before and went, yeah, we'll go to that location again. We'll do a task very similar to that one. It'll be right.
It's the remix.
Exactly. It is basically Tar 3 remix, this leg.
It was like 10 years ago, so... Well, yeah, 10 years ago.
They should make it an official switchback. As far as we know, they're doing wink wink nudge nudges to a lot of tasks, and then one official switchback. Which is, of course, the best task of all time, but still.
This is the second round in 5 legs that have been entirely based upon a round of season 3.
Yeah.
They're really trying to recapture that.
Well, they're just trying to recapture the magic, I think. Because
Would they, though? It's like
a very, very well-liked season.
Yeah, but like it's not one of those seasons that sort of like made the show famous. It's sort of like a show that gave another season, I guess. Like seasons that made the show, famous and gave it more seasons are like season 7, season 9, season 5, season 12 again because that was like the ratings bonanza one. I think it's just like they look at what works and they try it again, I guess. So yeah.
I'm not sure we would have had this many seasons of Tar without Tar 12. Thinking about new seasons,
especially after All Stars,
100% reinvigorated the franchise. Tar 12 has got to be up there.
Which is what I hope they're trying to do again with like this season, because this has just been so good. It's like better than every single leg of last season.
Well, it's nice to just have. By this point last season, we had 3 countries. 3. This season,
and
we
so
have
far we
3.
have
But it's also awesome. And we have a lot
America, England, Scotland, Denmark.
Oh yeah,
Sweden, Morocco.
I completely forgot Denmark and Sweden. So we're on 5 already. in 5 lanes.
And I don't mind spending 2 rounds in Morocco.
No, I
So that
mean,
seems to be one of the tougher locations to get around.
they do seem to be going somewhere outside of Marrakesh next time as well, which is nice. Seems to be up in the Atlas Mountains somewhere.
Wonder who's going to get arrested then in the next round to keep up with the Tar 3 tradition.
Yeah, so someone's got to get arrested, guys. Sorry.
What teams in season 3 have something in common with teams from this season?
I don't know, Ben. Let's not answer that.
Yeah. I mean, I've already made enough comments to have, if more people watch this, there'll be enough comments to like have a coup put on our heads, a fatwa put on our
Fatwa,
heads.
yeah. Fatwa is the word you're looking for.
Especially from Scotland. Especially from Scotland.
Yeah, Ben, don't keep drawing attention to the fact that you massively insulted Scotland repeatedly. To try and get me in trouble.
Insert joke about them being drunks here.
Well, they are, yeah.
Hey, you voted to keep them. Oh wait, they voted to keep.
No.
They voted to stay with you.
Yeah, they voted to keep us, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Very, very, very strong difference there. So once they got to the tannery, they had to prepare 3 goat hides and then take the 3 finished ones to a cobbler to return the receipt to the tannery to receive their next clue. And it was Keith. Amy,
And it was an 8-way tie. It was an 8-team alliance.
It was Keith, Amy, Kim, Brooke, Tim, Bethany, Nisi, and Misty who did the roadblock. And we had a couple.
Do you think that was planned?
Of
like the whole every single team being out there at the same time, and the thing being so confusing you can't find it on your own, so that everyone has to team up basically.
Pretty. Not sure.
Because it created like
all 8
real
teams to work
only
together.
like huge conflict of the season between Shelley and Nisi and Keith and Whitney. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who to root for in that case because I'm not a big fan of Shelley and Nisi. I know I'm a terrible person for this, but I'm not a big fan of Shelley and Nisi. They still not won me around that much, but also it's hilarious to see Keith actually show some personality.
Even as being aggressive douche bro.
Yeah, even if it's being an aggressive douche bro. As we have found out before, he was my preseason pick to win of Survivor South Pacific. And then, I saw the sense.
And then Cochrane happened.
Yeah, and then Cochrane happened.
Bethany has never done a roadblock.
No, Bethany has never done a roadblock, but there has only been 3. Because for some reason we didn't have any in the UK.
She almost pulled a Winona.
Well, now what they should have done if they really throwing back to Amazing Race 3 is just let one person from each team to just do one roadblock.
Yeah.
But Bethany, you have to do one roadblock. You have the flow pass. Actually, yeah, that would have been a great pass.
What happens then? Am I just dangling off a cliff? Zach?
In like 3, what they should have done is, in the express pass spot, they should have said, you can find your power if you go to this place. It's first come, first serve. Someone just gets a flow pass where they're allowed to bitch as much as they want and only do one roadblock.
It's a diesel fuel station. That's where it has to be. It has to be at a station where you can fill up your car with diesel.
See, Amazing Race producers, if you're watching this, do it. It's hilarious. It has so much hilarity.
Only do less roadblocks than you're supposed to and bitch all race? That must have been called the Dave and Connor pass.
Zing! Or should I say props?
Don't.
I can't believe that Adam compared the roadblock to shaving his back. That disgusts me.
We had some particularly great quotes for this task, actually. From Kim shouting, "This is why I wear fake leather," to probably my favourite screen cap of the season so far. No, it smells like...
That's the most random tirade ever.
I think we could get a lot of mileage out of Jim's face by that.
It's long, and yet Jim just goes off on this Maya for no reason whatsoever. It's like, will Maya ever do to anybody in all 5 episodes? But it'd be like if somebody
No,
randomly
If you want to think about it though,
lashed out against, I don't know, like Hope or Allie from Survivor Karamoan. It's just so hilarious.
I'm not sure that it was really an anti-Maya rant. It was just a no, you're slightly wrong about this.
if you really want to think about it though, Amy might have probably smelt a lot worse because you know, food scientists and food doesn't smell that good in the production stages
Yeah, true.
or look that good.
And here we have, to drag it down, the Isn't Bethany Awesome montage.
Hmm. Oh, I thought I'd hate it a lot more than I do, but I don't mind it even because you know that's like doing having one arm and doing a two-arm task is pretty awesome. But I think it's just all of the pro Bethany sentiment in all the legs has been just off foot by her being so derpy.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I,
I don't. Yeah, she's
I
just
like
like
how you said
Normal Californian blonde who like somehow acquired fame because of her circumstances, and now she's traveling the world to spread her message, and then it's being slightly weird in the process to everyone. Oh, like, yeah, you get the point. She's a slightly derpy person.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you going to say, Logan?
Oh, just that. Oh yeah, just how they all say, "Wow, she's a beast at these challenges," and that she can do it all by herself. But then in the middle of the roadblock, she needed help from the locals, so it sort of negated that whole point that she can do everything with one arm because she has locals with a total of 4 or 6 arms to all help her finish the task. And I wrote down that it seems like as the episodes progress, that she talks slower and slower. So I'm waiting to see what happens if she reaches the end. If she just like talks like an 80 or 90-year-old by the end of the race.
It would be pretty fun to just get a clip of Bethany speaking and just slow it down as much as is physically possible. Just
My arm has osteoporosis.
Just for shits and giggles. So it's everyone but Tim and Maya who managed to come back at the same time in equal first. First time since Major Race 4 where we've had an equal first. And of course, Shelley, Nisi, and Keith get into a bitch fight over whether Whitney was around to read the clue when Keith got it. And teams must now make their way to Ben Yusuf Madrasa to find their next clue.
Isn't it just great? Like, I already like. I've liked Shelley and Nisi so far, mostly because of their interactions with them, each other. But it's just like this. Like, it's been like a showcase of what happens if you get a team that's already explosive interacting with each other, and then pit them against other teams. Like, she just like when Misty accidentally banged into her bike, she looked like she was going to cut her throat.
Sorry.
I love how apologetic Missy was, and just
you can
knowing.
Tell that they were already fuming once they ran into Keith and Lenny.
Yeah, the best thing is Missy was so apologetic, but she probably had heard how volatile Shelley and Nisi were individually, never mind together. So she was like, I do not want to piss her off. I just want to get away quick. And the clue at Ben Yusuf Madrasa was the Detour, which was twill time or tea time. And I couldn't be asked typing out my notes for the Detour description, so I just copied them off Wikipedia. So in twill time, teams participated in a Ganawa dance. After getting their costume at Bob Magic Music and learning how to perform, they headed to Jamar El Fanar to perform while one team member played a drum, keeping the rhythm. One team member played the crackheads while twirling a tassel on a hat around. It took a cublet performance for a minute. They would receive their next clue. And in tea time, teams learned how to properly serve Moroccan mint tea. After picking up a traditional tea set, they then had to make their way to Palais Granata, where they got into costume and observed how to properly serve the tea. Well, one team member held the serving tray with one hand, the other would ceremonially pour the tea into 2 cups at once, making sure to lift the kettles up. Once the professional tea server was pleased with their performance, he would give them the next clue. And breathe. Yeah.
Oh, you done? Okay. Cool.
Did you screen cap Bethany spraying herself with water?
No, I didn't actually. I should have done, but no, I didn't. I'll make sure to get that for next week, though, for you.
And then put Brazzers onto it.
If we're taking requests for screen caps, I can do them. Seems though I need to do one for the big adventure for you and Michelle this week as well, don't I? Need to find Jess saying something offensive inevitably.
I hear that Winnie had some real nice words for Shelley and Nisi heading to in the Detour.
Can I guess by any chance? Was it?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna put my neck on the line and say it was you. Disgust me.
It might have been slightly more offensive than that.
Or what?
If you disgust me one more time, and then what?
I'll set Keith on you, and Lord knows his heart can't take it.
I loved how they were falling behind. It was obviously because Keith, was riding around for a while carrying the thing, and then knowing about Keith Hartdish, he's like, come on, Keith, and then just it's sort of like he has a metal plate instead of a heart, basically. You might want to ease off on him.
Was Keith's heart actually mentioned in his CBS bio? I can't remember. I don't think it was.
It was mentioned in the on Survivor. I think it was mentioned in his pre-show interview, but
Yeah,
apart from that, I don't think so.
It was definitely mentioned in Survivor because I remember the fact that he has a tattoo of a compass above his pacemaker for some reason.
It's pretty
You'll
cool.
joke.
Yeah, I don't know how I remember that, but I do.
Yeah, I think we already joked about yada 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 pulling out Keith's heart pacemaker and playing as a Hindu idol, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we did.
Do you think if Keith's heart reaches a certain heart rate that he turns into the National Hulk?
Almost certainly. To be fair, it's lucky that they haven't had a pit stop at a science museum or anything, because Keith would run past any attraction with magnetism and just go, shit, no, crap. Keith and Whitney automatically eliminated because Keith can't pull himself away from the exhibits.
What's being displayed? The
Okay,
crystal
that was
skulls from the Kingdom of the
Big Four seems to go to the magnetic South Pole.
Actually, would have been even better if they have started somewhere like the Griffith Observatory, which does have a Tesla coil and things and a lot of magnetic attractions. Keith would have been stood on the roof just going slowly like this. Shit. And I'm a horrible person. We love you, Keith. Much. Jim
Apparently
also
we get a
claimed he
minute
doesn't
to
have time
win
to
a
pay.
detour.
Yeah, I looked at these details and went, really? This is a terrible, terrible idea, having both detours take about a minute. And then we get Keith and Whitney screwing up at it royally.
And then
They
we get
take an
Brooke and Robbie
additional
screwing up at it royally.
128 minutes.
Yeah, it was 9 attempts that they took before. It was 9 attempts that Jim and Misty took for the T-task before Misty finally works it out.
And Brooke and Robbie was like 16.
I lost count on how many they were.
It was getting very Masonry Scandish in terms of having tasks where teams can fail 15 to 30 to 40 times or so before succeeding.
Yeah, the difference is at least none of them were 5-holing.
Or biathloning.
Also, for the first time in a long while, the judge wasn't telling people their errors in tea time.
Yeah, I like
it out.
I preferred that. I preferred that they actually had to focus.
Yeah, it is nice, but it's hilarious when it gets to like double-figure attempts and they're just going, can't tell you anything, sorry.
It was
I
the
want
Detour
Whitney
of
to
surprise
say nice
difficulty. This episode.
attire, accent, everything.
I've not got many notes of the Detour really. It was over pretty quickly for most people. It was just certain teams that really, really struggled.
Hmm. And fought a lot because of the struggling.
Yeah. Well, Jim and Misty don't fight. Jim just gives her a glare and tells her to, in a very body break way, F off. Jim and Misty are our new body break officially. So once teams complete their detour, they are directed to the U-turn board at an Amazing Race Classic location, Le Grand Balcon du Café Glacier, where Flo did her one roadblock in Amazing Race 3.
Where she got to yell at people.
Yeah, she
Pour
did.
and then left.
It was Adam and Bethany leaving first, with Kim and Ellie right behind. Neither use a U-turn. But Shelley and Nisa, who turned up third, sorry, decided to be diabolical and use the U-turn. How dare they? I've not actually checked the Amazing Race comments for this week, but I bet at least 50% of them were, how could Shelley and Nisa use the U-turn? That's such a bitch move.
Hmm. I've been fine with people using the U-turn ever since the Afghanimals U-turn Jet and caught out of the race. So, and before that, when five-time Big E's U-turn Jet and caught out of the race. So,
Yeah. Do you have I think against the Cowboys by any chance, Ben?
maybe a little bit.
Never guessed.
I mean,
I like how the detour.
I mean, there's certain, there's certain.
Anyway, go on, Logan.
Oh no, sorry. I've been lagging poorly in this podcast. Can we just comment how bad my lag has been? I always feel like I'm cutting people off the entire time.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
you have been a bit.
Maybe it'll be better next week.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Anyways,
you want good lag?
what was I saying? Oh, just a detour that just with the twirling task, it made everybody look like they were doing a really bad Will Smith Fresh Prince of Bel-Air intro impression. That's all I was gonna say.
Ben, did you think the same thing I did with the 12-time task? Did you think back to the Turkey roadblock of Amazing Race Australia 2? The Whirling Dervish one?
Yeah.
But,
they looked almost as ridiculous, actually.
yeah, it was a very similar task. The Whirling Dervishes in Amazing Race, or in Turkey, which we did see in Amazing Race 7 as well. The teams had to, or one person had to join the Whirling Dervishes and twirl for a minute. And of course, everyone was getting sick and dizzy and everything. But
I reckon it's sort of the same. Yeah, it's sort of the same principle, but except like with keeping the hat on your head and keeping the thing moving, it required like a bit precision and skill. Whereas like the swirling dervishes was sort of like, as well as skill keeping it on your feet and keeping moving on your feet, it was like sort of whether your stomach can handle it. Because I can swirl around in a circle for like 10 seconds and I still get nauseous. So a minute, that'd be like. And then there's the problem of walking off afterwards.
Having said that, that was the one leg of Amazing Race Australia 2 where it was a bit of a misstep with the poorly timed intersection and that sort of thing. But we'll let Logan get to that. So once teams have decided whether to U-turn or not, they are then directed to the pit stop, which is the Almet Jar carpet shop.
A lot of carpet shops this leg.
Yeah, I quite like the fact that they didn't do it in a proper tourist attraction. They just decided to go, you know what? Nah, carpet shop. Why not?
Well, they wouldn't get a bunch of RFF people crowding around in a carpet shop.
Well, exactly, yeah. Not that they seem to actually care that much about RFF this season, given how public the pit start was.
True.
And it was Shelley and Nita in third, with Tim and TJ in fourth, Jim and Misty in fifth, Brooke and Robbie in sixth.
No, Shelley and Nisa were in fourth.
Who was in third then?
Tim and TJ.
Now they Shelley and Nisi are in third.
Shelley and AC went to the U-turn ball. They got in third, but then they ran off to pay their
Oh,
cab.
yeah. I mean,
And
leaving.
That's
I mean,
what I
leaving
got
the
too.
detour. I mean, leaving the detour.
hmm
Spoilers.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Jim and Misty in fifth, Brooke and Robbie in sixth, and Amy and Maya left in seventh. And all of them checked in before Keith and Whitney had even finished their first side of the detour, before finding out they'd been U-turned.
No one matters but us.
Exactly. It might be a non-elimination leg. Jim and Misty might give up their save. Also, can we just talk about the greaser? What the hell was he wearing?
A carpet hat.
What the actual is all I have to
It
say.
was a third grade art project.
I know I love commenting on greasers when they are dressed in a ridiculous fashion, but this was one of the better ones.
So,
I'm thinking a blind guy tried
What
to
color?
skin several cows, played around with some dye attached to a sombrero.
It's almost like he thought, I've got a wheel of carpet samples here, why don't I just wear it as a hat? It basically is a sombrero made of carpet. It's quite impressive. And Kim and Ali yet again come in first and win $5,000 each. I do love it when Phil says $5,000 and then just pauses for 10 seconds and then says each. And Adam and Bethany.
at least it wasn't like 5,000 Virgin Air Mile points or whatever it was in Australia 3.
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious actually. Yeah, enough to travel the world 3 times to both the second and third teams. So basically, after Daniel and Ryan spoilers check in first, you've got nothing to play for because you've won it either way. Tim and TJ in third, and Shelley and Nisi turned up fourth, having had to pay their taxi driver, which was actually a very good tactic, having the taxi driver on standby and agreeing with him a price, but they didn't need it because everything was set around the square, which is hilarious.
That's more a production thing than a Shelley and Nisi thing. Like if they would have had like a task that hadn't been set in one location every day all day, probably would have been a good tactic. Or like if they'd had the few tasks set here and then they had to go to the next, then it's like to be a continued leg that continues in Morocco. Would have been a good tactic, but it was like over preparation.
Also, did you notice what Shelley and Nisi said when they checked in? Which made me think, oh no, they're probably going to be on Survivor eventually.
But
blood is thicker than water.
Oh yeah.
But I wouldn't
Survivor
mind that.
31.
I would actually mind that.
Yes, so Survivor Blood versus Water 3. Shelley versus Nisi. Jim and Misty were in fifth, Brooke and Robbie in sixth, and Amy and Maya in seventh, with Keithney, sadly, the People's Team departing.
No.
And disgusting us in eighth. And that
2 hours and 9 minutes later.
Yeah, that would be the last time that I'm allowed to mock them for disgusting me until our final recap.
And that they're like it's like a similar male-female team who engineered a three-way robot quit from season 22. They were the last remaining team of that pact standing.
Yes, they were.
What an obscure
Wow, those 3 teams really sucked.
You suck. We think we changed, bro.
Maybe they could have done it better with one arm.
I do seriously hope there's a juggling task eventually.
Express pass.
So next time we've got more Morocco, farm tie wires, and of course goats.
Sugar's making an appearance.
Yes.
Wait, that's pretty ridiculous. Russell Hance, obviously.
The first
Nope,
route
Sherry.
The first route markup will be find sugar in the sugar shack.
Yeah. Travel across Africa by foot to go to this obscure Gabonese national park, and come back. It's not the worst. It's not the worst thing Sugar's done to a season, but yeah.
What, you mean JT? Oh, but He was the thing she did in the season, wasn't she? Or was that Colby?
I think so. No,
Oh, wait,
JT.
Yeah, she tried both.
Mm.
So
One had weird slopey shoulders. The other had unintelligible voice and buck teeth. Good choice, Sugar. Good choice.
So what do we think is going to happen next week? First things
I'm
first.
just sad that Keith and Whitney are gone.
Yeah, I'm sad Keith and Whitney are gone because I've got no one else to mock now. I'm disappointed.
By virtue of like not actually being on a great cast and being part of Conflict, they're by default not actually one of the worst crossover teams to be on the Amazing Race. Like I wouldn't put them as good as Rob and Amber, but I put them better than probably like Jeff and Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, anyone would be better than Jeff and Jordan. Let's be honest. Jeff and Jordan,
Brenchel even.
Another team that I hate. It's Jeff and Jordan, Brenchel, then a massive gap in terms of my estimations. Because I am not a fan of them at all.
So there's only been like 5 crossover teams. Well, 6 if you want to count Ryan. From Ryan and Abby.
Yeah, Ethan and Jenna don't really count because they didn't have a fair shot, but...
Did you count Allison?
Oh, right, Allison, yeah.
So, do we think it's going to be an elimination next week? And if so, who?
I think it is, and I think it's going to be... I don't know, actually. It might be, because I don't think it from like all accounts of the actual, preview, I don't think it's actually going to be that exciting a leg.
No, I mean, I struggled to come up with a next time summary there.
Tim and T-Shiro. I'll go with that.
It was basically Brooke screaming, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!"
Heights. Oh no. Oh no's.
Is that a fast forward?
I think it's probably going to be a roadblock. Because I'm not sure we're going to get a fast forward. Because the routing, like the route markers box on Wikipedia, they've taken fast forward out of it now. It's just Detour, roadblock, express pass, U-turn, speed bump, and pit stop. So it'd be nice if we got a fast forward because I love them, but
yeah, but it's the same. It's the same page that did something really awful. It's like changed the whole formatting of the page for some reason, and it's like really hard to read now. So I don't trust Wikipedia as far as I can throw it. So
the best one was the Philippines one. Philippines one had their results at the pit stop episode yesterday, and someone had obviously messed up all the placements for the second leg. It was the third leg results yesterday, so someone had to change all the second leg placements and then add the third ones in as well because it had been completely wrong last week. Which is hilarious.
Oh, that is hilarious.
So, I think we're about done. Unless you got anything else.
Nothing funny, I guess, but we haven't really discussed that much about the teams, apart from little glances into the disgustingness.
Whitney.
All their dopey voices.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard episode, really, wasn't it? Just us mocking the way Bethany talks, us saying Bethany when you discuss us, that sort of thing. Yeah.
On a purely entertainment level or purely likable level, there's not really a bad team left. No, the only team I'd say that's devoid of content or dropping into negative content territory is Tim and TJ or Jim and Misty. Tim and TJ is only because they haven't really been shown that much, and Jim and Misty is only because of the residual thing. Because if they start dominating again, I can't really get behind them. I want them to have the Ryan and Abby edits, not the whole Dave and Rachel thing of them actually dominating. So that'd be pretty. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Jim and Misty will win because of the fact that there's a massive edit going on for a certain other team, but. I think they'll probably stick around for a long while.
Yeah. Certain other team.
I have nothing to say about Tim and TJ.
Yeah, go on.
Other than
I'm setting you up.
Rock and roll.
Thank you for the setup, Michael. I actually in one of the Facebook groups I did not even an Amazing Race Facebook group. It was a Survivor Facebook group. I posted this huge post like talking about Amy and Maya, because I just compared them to Sophie a bit, because you know how every single like Amazing Race season, they usually cast like 1 to 3 female teams that are like and they usually fill like a certain archetype. Like one of them's always the token blonde, like you know Caroline and Jennifer, Lisa and Michelle, Dustin and Candace, who feel like the eye candy role. There's another's like a tomboy, the tomboy team that fits into the mold, like not traditionally feminine by means of like personality or the occupation, like you know the twinnies, Kim and Ali, Maria and Tiffany. And they also cast like a family related team that can sometimes be the same as like a into like a either of the blonde token or the blonde tokens or the tomboy personality, like you know Keisha and Jen, Shelly and Nisi, Wanda and Desiree, and there's also the old women team that I don't really, you know, hasn't been around for a while, so who cares about them? But like they're cast with like a purpose. The blondes are cast as like you know I can to say things like you know the sun sets in the east, or the tomboys are cast to start fights, or you know with the other teams or each other, or maybe just talk about how the other teams are boring. And you know the family team, like you know Shelly and Nisi are cast for like the sub story of like you know we're estranged, she moved out of home at 17, that sort of thing, or maybe if they leave early, it's like a feel good story. But like the thing is, Amy and Maya, that like it was similar to like season 17, but like Amy and Maya, they don't really fit like any sort of archetype that's been cast so far in the show, because like they're not like any drop dead gorgeous models. They don't have like a sub story. They don't fight with either each other or the other teams. They're just like they're of this occupation. They're just food scientists. They give a occasional like really snarky or funny confessional every leg and talk about their occupation, and they also talk about like every single log that talks about either like a strategy they'll use or why they want to win the race. And like I compared this to Sophie because it's sort of in terms of like the content they're giving and how they cast. They don't fit a predetermined role in the usual casting archetypes we have on either show. So far they had a pretty steady edit, because like you know if they came in like 6th or 5th place and didn't do anything, they'd be shown a lot less, because there are teams that have filled that same type that have been shown a lot less, you know, like Steve and Ali. But like they have a steady edit despite this. Like even though they're not the most prominent team of like, they're not even the most prominent female team of the season so far. It's like Shelly and Nisi or Kim and Ali. There's like they're not even the most prominent team of the season. But it's like it's hard to tell what the story's going to be so far, because most of the drama seems to be about the save or Shelly and Nisi. But like they're at the center of a lot of interactions with other teams. Just you know, however the season ends up turning out by terms of stories, they're going to fit into that. So you know, basically what I'm getting at is like Sophie. Amy and Maya have a big, you know, yin-yang sort of thing with Sophie, because they both like delve away from the usual casting archetypes they have on both their shows. And like even though you know Sophie is like in terms of personality, they don't like anything to do with Amy and Maya, because she's like a cold-cutting ice queen bitch who's like really snarky. But like Amy and Maya are sort of like the yin to their yang, because like Amy and Maya, they're cheerful, they're fun, but they're also a bit like playfully snarky. So I think this season, even though there's a lot of other teams that I like, I think overall this season is heading into an Amy Maya win.
And on that note, thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll be back next Sunday. Yeah.
No counterpoints whatsoever. No,
yeah,
okay.
I did.
Amy Maya go next week.
Yeah, I did notice that. Well, a lot of the confessionals seem to be doing something in relation to Amy and Maya, like Jim saying, "No, it smells like shh,"
Yeah.
in response to Maya being a bit dope.
It smells like a spring cup I have right next to me.
Right.
Anyway, thank you for watching and listening. We'll be back next Sunday for the next Amazing Race Recap podcast, brought to you by the UR Team Number Facebook group. Don't forget to leave your comments down below, and please like the video so we can rise up the rankings and I can stop sounding horrendously needy. And you can hit us all up on Twitter. If you search Yancast, you should find us. See you next week.
See ya. I'll have a slightly shorter tirade.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.